Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick preview of the Sony FDR-AX100. This is a 4K camcorder that Sony introduced at CES 2014, and in my opinion, it was one of the most impressive offerings of the entire show. Priced at $1999.99, you can now get 4K capture capability in your home. And while $2,000 may sound like a lot, because frankly it is, if you know anything about the competition and what 4K traditionally demands in terms of pricing, as well as the actual form factor, general footprint, then you know Sony has definitely changed the game with this brand new camcorder. So it's all based around a 1-inch sensor. It's launching in mid-March. I don't have it in my possession to share with you yet, but I wanted to make all of you aware of this camcorder because it is a game-changing product. Not only because it's the least expensive and smallest 4K camcorder ever made, but also because it's going to change the entire landscape of our audio-visual experience when it comes to 4K and affordability and getting displays into your house, not just camcorder capability. So in terms of actual looks, I'll show you the body of the device first. Zoom in here, and you can see the footprint is relatively small. I know this isn't the best offering, but it's generally in line with what Sony's been making on their higher-end line of camcorders as of late, a little bit larger than those. So it's not anything incredibly bulky, especially when you consider that we really are about to embark on a whole nother level of video quality. And it's not just a gimmick. It's paired with Zeiss glass. I'm going to go over all of the specifications, but I just wanted to show off the body. 3.5-inch display, over 900K resolution, SD card slot right there, but you are going... here you're going to be able to work with traditional SD cards still, but you will need some high-speed cards because of the new format and, of course, the higher resolution that 4K brings to recording. But the layout looks very similar to much of Sony's high-end Handycam offerings right now for the general consumer market. Built-in USB cable for transfer, NFC and Wi-Fi on board as well, something that's become standard. Still working with the same V-type batteries that have been employed in Handycams in days past. So basically, like most of Sony's offerings right now, they've been incorporating much of the best of their DI into their flagship products, and this is no exception. You've got an OLED viewfinder, a neutral density filter built in, but a quick overview of specifications, because after all, this is just a preview. You can see right here the ability to capture 4K at 30p, and I have to tell you, if you haven't seen it in person, do yourself a favor, visit a store and see the difference, because I would liken it to the difference between moving from SD to HD resolution. There's just so much more depth because of that resolution. It's almost a 3D-like experience. And this takes me back to CES 2012 when I saw 4K and 8K displays and was wowed. And now we've got it not only in the form of they're getting more affordable in displays, but now we've got camcorders which will usher in more affordable displays, and that's really where the game changing is. In terms of the sensor, that 1-inch XMOR CMOS is really the backbone of Sony's digital imaging right now. When you look at all of their successful cameras, it's there. So not a surprise to see that here, and the direct pixel readout is what gives this camcorder a great advantage, despite the fact that it doesn't have a gigantic sensor. You're getting true mapping where you're getting a real image. It should do a lot to eliminate a lot of the artifacts and general defects that we encounter with video currently. 14 megapixel video and 20 megapixel still image capture. You're now working with XAVC-S in terms of file format. That's to support that new 4K capability of this camcorder, so that's what Sony's working with. You still have traditional AVC HD and MP4, but clearly if you're buying this camcorder, you're going to be dealing with XAVC-S. You've got that Carl Zeiss lens, which is 12 times, a very nice touch, and I expect good things out of that glass. Very fast, almost instantaneous autofocus capability, as well as some of the best character, if you will, that you're going to find from any lens, and Sony has made it a strong part of their marketing for that reason. The Bion's X processor, another great element for this camcorder, 120 frames per second recording capability for those of you looking to do some slow-mo And then, of course, optical steady shot with active mode, which is what we've come to expect from Sony in not only their Handycam line, but a lot of their other digital imaging products in the CyberShot family as well. 3.5-inch extra fine LCD display that I mentioned before. That OLED EVF isn't the best on the market, but when it comes to Handycam camcorders, it pretty much is, without stepping up into a professional level from Sony, that is, again. Wi-Fi and NFC I mentioned before, that'll allow you to do various things, but until I get the camcorder in my possession, I'm not going to speculate on how much or little Sony will enable beyond probably just remote control, out of the box, because that seems to always be the given with Sony these days. What comes out of the box, you do get that MP FV70, not sure on the rating here, we'll see if it's there. Of course, an AC adapter, power cord, operating guide, your HDMI, it's a micro HDMI cable, USB connection support cable for transfer, remote commander, you do get a remote control, and a lens hood and a lens cap. $2,000, but if you are eligible for EDU, Sony is offering 15% off on this right now, so pre-order it. I'm not sure if that's just an exception or that's something standard they're doing now with all of their camcorders, because after all, the Handycam, I'm not going to say it's a dying breed, but because all of their other digital imaging products, we're talking about CyberShot or Alpha brand, take such incredibly high quality video, there's no question that there is a bit of cannibalism at play. So 4K is a way to revitalize, in my opinion, a camcorder market that has been suffering for quite a while, and that's why it's got me excited. I mean, we are looking at a brand new format, a codec that's going to allow for a lot higher bit rate, although I will say that is one of the corners cut here. You are buying the least expensive 4K legit camcorder, in my opinion here. You're only going to get 60 megabits per second peak, which is nowhere near what other offerings have, but other offerings are a lot more expensive or require a lot more aftermarket accessories to really utilize the full capability. Keep in mind, you are going to need a pretty decent computer to handle 4K video, and right now YouTube does support it. Eventually, when I have this, I'll probably start shooting in 4K. The file size, yes, it's going to be large, no question about it, and in addition to that, it takes longer to buffer and obviously more expensive displays to enjoy, but trust me, the benefit is there. It will be a matter of time, maybe 2 or 3 years, before it becomes affordable across the board, but this is the beginning, because this is what happened with the HD transition from SD years ago. It's now basically a decade. We got, Sony HD camcorders in 06, 05, 06, so we're not there yet at 10 years, but close, that brought consumers the ability with mini DV to capture full HD, almost full HD capability, and that was just groundbreaking, and that was definitely, beyond anything, I think, a driving force to getting HD displays into people's homes. And that's what I think Sony's going for here as well. And that's why they are the game changer. After all, they sell a lot of televisions. In terms of advanced features, the image stabilization I mentioned before, the Wi-Fi, NFC, you've got night shot, you've got cinematone, all the different shooting modes right there listed. You've also got just a bevy of different things here. Auto wind noise reduction. The audio levels are displayed as you would expect. There's a multi-interface shoe, face detection, smile shutter, technology for dual capture, airplane mode, because you do have Wi-Fi on here, so that does something you need to be aware of, or it has to be maintained, if you are on a plane and you are trying to use a camcorder. And also if you just want to save battery, which is what airplane mode really is about these days. The Wi-Fi functionality allows you, as you can see right here, to remote control the device. NFC will allow the pairing to be seamless, basically. You won't have to open an app. You'll just touch the NFC contact points. For those of you unfamiliar, NFC near field communication, your tablet or smartphone may or may not support it, so do check that in advance. Tracking focus, premium, closer voice. I mean, these are all, they've got golf shot, that's only in AVC mode. And that's probably because it utilizes the 120 frames per second is what I would imagine. So a lot of features here. This is really, out there to be a consumer camcorder, no question about it. This isn't for the filmmaker, but 4K affordable is the beginning of 4K really making its way into our homes in more than just a camcorder form. And while there are, $1,000 4K TVs out there, I wouldn't recommend any of them. The quality ones are still very expensive. That will change over the course of this year and next, because last year really was the first wave. But this camcorder, there's just a lot to like. A lot of manual controls as well here, as you can see in the exposure system. It's not going to give you, again, pro features, but zebra pattern, there is a clear emphasis on Sony recognizing that if they're successful with the launch of this camcorder, 4K display sales are going to follow, in my opinion. And camcorders like this are only going to go down in price. That EDU discount right now, if you're eligible, as I mentioned, will bring it down to $1,700. So by mid-March, you can really be enjoying, at least based on what I've seen, despite the lower megabit, actual rate here, the 60 megabit rate, the results are still stunning. I can't fault them at all. And I'm watching them on a 1440 display, my 27-inch computer monitor, so I'm not even taking full advantage of all of that resolution. So really a lot to like here overall, and just really impressed. And this is the game changer, because even though there were a lot of cool products at CES 2014, this is the one that's going to actually change the landscape. I can't say that about a lot of the other things. A lot of cool devices were launched, interesting concepts, but this is a legitimate one that is really going to change, not just what Sony does, but every other manufacturer. We're going to have to see less expensive 4K offerings now from just about everyone in the business. And it's in their interest, quite frankly, because if they want us to buy 4K displays, this is one way of doing that. So 4K becoming affordable, a nice thing to see. And don't compare this to the 4K captured on the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. I've heard a lot of people mention that the bit rate is close. Yeah, but think about the sensor. I mean, that's what people are forgetting. And also the optimization. I didn't really focus on it up here, but Sony mentions that you are getting that direct pixel readout. That is critical for getting fantastic performance. It's something the RX10 employs. The RX10 isn't the best video camera ever made, but that's because it's not a video camera. It's a bridge still camera. But when it comes to 4K and what this camcorder has to offer, it looks like it's going to be a winner. You can see all the modes here. I don't want to leave that out for those of you really curious. And yes, you could have pulled this up on your own, but I know a lot of you don't necessarily even know that this was announced, despite its popularity at the show. But you can see all the different file formats it supports. So whether you're going with XAVC, you're dealing, with traditional 4K in 30p or 24p, and then, you can take it down to your 1080p, 60p, 30p, 24p, all the way down to MP4 if you're really just interested in sharing on the internet. Dolby Digital is licensed here, like most Sony Handycams, so that's not anything surprising. And that multi-interface shoe allows you to hook up, XLR adapters, really try to take this to another level that I wouldn't necessarily recommend. But overall, really excited about this, and it just represents a change, as I keep mentioning, in the entire landscape. And you'll notice in terms of the media type, you're looking at SDXC memory cards. So it's another thing to keep in mind, as well as Memory Stick Pro Duo Mark IIs. So as I mentioned before, part of, I think, also the 60 megabit peak on this is that it doesn't force you to bump up to a new, even more expensive memory type that's going to break the bank. So Sony trying to do it right. This has been their approach lately on all of their digital imaging products, to really try to find the best balance and even price point, which is not necessarily characteristic of Sony in the past. But like what I see here, very excited about the FDR-AX100. Any questions or comments or general input, please feel free to post it. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.